Okay.
Hi, everyone. I am LaurieAnn. I am that gal from Milton, Ontario, Canada, and I am with.
I am that guy. I am Roy Miller from Dallas, Texas, and we would like to welcome you to our Lift Your Story podcast.
So in this episode, we're very pleased to have Maggie Perotin, and I will say it in the French way that's proper. And she is an international business and leadership coach, and we're looking forward to hearing more about that. Thank you so much for being here, Maggie.
Well, thank you so much for having me, LaurieAnn and Roy. I really appreciate it.
Oh, great. So you say you're international.
Yeah.
So how far away are you?
How far away? So as it seems, I'm not that far from LaurieAnn. I'm in Canada. But even if you look at me, my husband is French from France and I'm Polish. So I immigrated to Canada a while back. And my clients are a little bit all over the place, mostly North America. But since, we are connected on internet and I do most of my business online, I could pretty much have a client from anywhere in the world.
Okay. So how would the people get in contact with you? How do they know to contact you, for your coaching?
Oh, so I have a website. My company's name is Stairway To Leadership.
Okay.
And you can find me at www.stairwaytoleadership.com. I'm also present on Facebook and on Instagram. I have a Facebook group as well for women entrepreneurs, because those are mostly my clients. And it's called Women Entrepreneurs with Passion for Life. Okay. So that's the group.
Very nice.
So are women mostly your clients?
Yes. Mostly my clients are women entrepreneurs who are service-based mostly. So, VAs and life coaches and copywriters, again, mostly who have a lot of clients online or kind of need that support on marketing online. That's not the only thing I coach on, but that tends to be mostly my clients.
Yeah, I would imagine, because a big thing is accessing clients, and how do you do that? So what motivated you to become this international business growth coach?
So there's a story to it. I guess we're supposed to share the story on your podcast, so I will share this story. It was a couple of years back. So my background is in corporate world, where I've been in leadership positions for about 13 years now. And a lot of what I've done had, portions, like a lot of my roles included people leadership and coaching and developing people. And then a couple of years back, I was going through some tough time in my corporate world that got me thinking, whether you call it like a midlife crisis or some sort of this turning moment in your life when you're thinking like, okay, what do I want to do? I want to do something that also brings fulfillment and has a meaning and purpose. And because I always enjoyed working with people and helping people grow, and then again, I have a lot of different experience in business, that kind of came together. It's like, you know what, I will go into business coaching, because there I can empower people and help them build businesses. And that's how I started. So
were you like a corporate trainer at one point?
You know what? No. Corporate, you know what? I like diversity. So I had a lot of different positions. I went through a manager and more of an operations center, so a contact center for the clients of the corporation that were calling in with different issues and so on. I was a project manager, portfolio manager for facilities for a large company where I managed a bunch of facilities. So that comes with project management and operations and so on. And then I ended up being like a director in a department that's also operational, but I have a team that reports to me, about 25 people, and we support the operation of 400 others across North America. And with that comes programs and technology and a bit of business development. So a lot of different hats. Yeah. So training as well. So I'm not dedicated to training, but when we roll out new process or a new technology, then I end up training hundreds of people.
Yeah. So you're definitely a multitasker.
Yes. Although one thing at a time.
Yeah. To be a project manager, you have to be able to multitask because there's just too many things happening all the time.
Yes.
Schedules, people, and deadlines. So yeah, I know all about that.
It seems like it.
Yeah.
So where did you start? Where did this passion come from? Because of course, most everyone who's been on our podcast, we realize that there's a real passion for it. And, having come from the corporate world, what brought you into helping women? What was that key element that made that happen?
So I think that when I go back, I always wanted to be a teacher. Always, since I was a little girl. My parents were a teacher. My dad didn't stay in the profession. My mom did stay, but because I told you I'm Polish, and in Poland, at least especially at the time when I was there, teachers did not make a good living. So kind of seeing my mom sort of, giving her life and passion to it, and kind of as struggling, not being very poor, but still struggling to go past paying bills and having food on the table, I quickly realized, well, I'm not going to be a teacher, not in Poland, because that's not going to work out. So it sort of stayed in me. And as I said, throughout the corporate roles that I had, I realized that in the roles where I didn't have anybody reporting to me, for example, when I was a facility manager, yes, I dealt with the clients and, I had a portfolio and so on, but I didn't have any direct reports. I was always missing that piece. It was something that was giving me most of the fulfillment. Doing other jobs was okay, and I was good at them, but it wasn't bringing me that much joy. So that's kind of when I had that moment and I was going through that tough time. I'm like, no, I need to work with people. I need to help them and empower them. And that's sort of where it came from.
Nice.
So do you, in your corporate job, did you interact more with men or women?
Men.
Okay.
I was going to say.
I figured that, but I had to ask. So, let me tell you, for me, I always had better experiences dealing with women than I did men. I don't know why, I couldn't tell you that, but I think a lot of women from people we've talked to before, they're in that corporate world and they've kind of been held back because they're women. And when they break out of that, they really excel.
Yeah.
Have you found that it experienced the same for you?
Yeah, and I think that's the case, that sometimes in the corporate world, you need to, as a woman, you need to prove yourself twice as hard to say that you actually know what you're doing. And especially in that environment, again, when I'm in facility management, so it's a very engineer-based kind of technical environment, right? So it is dominated by men. Now there is more and more women coming, but the higher you go, the actually less of us there are, and that's the thing. And I don't want to, not that I'm not able. It's just trying to fight your way through and then kind of rank and so on, where you can actually excel. That's what it was. And then, as far as my clients go, it's just women respond to, I guess, my style and the way I market myself more than men. I'm not excluding men. Again, there's a lot of fantastic men in the corporate world that I dealt, but at the same time, also my style, the way I teach, the way I present myself, I think women are more attracted to me as well.
Well,
I was going to say, sorry, Roy, I just wanted to say not to go out on a limb. I'm going to go out on a limb, but when you were saying, Roy, I found it easy to work with women. I'm not going to say that that's all across the board, but because where women are coming from, we tend to be, I'm sorry, but a little bit more willing to expand because we know we have to work that hard. We have to, what in a previous segment we had, man up. And we're very aware, and we're very aware of what we do, where we might fail, where we might go wrong, more so than where there's a little bit more ego in the male area. And I don't mean that as a negative ego, but there is
It's the
definitely
truth.
more of an ego there, that they have more of a stance of being able to, in a man's world particularly, like, you know, I was in the automotive industry, same thing, right? I worked with men, and you have to maintain your feminism, like that female side of you, all the while manning up and understanding the male psychology and all that. And that's not easy to do. And with you, Maggie, you're understanding that you're probably coaching women through that transition to be able to deal with that, because it's still a man's world. It's changing a lot, but it's still there.
It's still, yeah.
Well, you know, in my career, I was a project manager. So I dealt with facilities managers, you know, and I would say probably it was an equal number of men and women.
Yeah.
Now, I know women architects, women engineers, women estimators for construction companies, you know, and people go, oh, that's that guy. But, you know, they're pretty smart, and they're, you know, they're good at what they do, you know. So just because they're a female, you can't discount them, okay? You just can't do it, you know. So and you're seeing more of a trend, and I think here in the States that we have a program in our schools called STEM. It's science, technology, engineering, and math.
Yes.
And it's trying to encourage kids, and particularly girls, to go into those areas.
Yes.
You know, and because, you know, there's a lot of smart girls out there.
Yeah, it's true.
And, you know, and so they're being championed to go in that and exceed and excel in those programs. You know, so
Actually, one of the ladies in my group, and she's here in Canada, and so she has a little business that helps kids through play get into the STEM type of science and, you know, subjects and encourage, you know, girls, and especially girls, to get into that.
Yeah, I think that there's a little bit of a what do you call it? I'm losing the word for it, but where they say that men tend to be better in math and women are more, there's that stigma.
Yeah.
And I know that my daughter's taking engineering, and her first thought is, well, men are smarter when it comes to mathematics, and it's not true. And now she's getting 100% in math and going, you know what? That's not true. She's realizing it. But because we haven't been motivated to feel that way, that there's different role sets, and it's nice to see that change.
Well, I found out, like I was in the electrical industry, and all the manufacturers and all the distributors in the lighting department, they had women. They were all women, and so I was on the guy, I said, you know, how come that you guys have women doing light fixtures? And they go, because they're more detail oriented. They will look, and they get stuff, and they'll pick up the little pieces and parts that guys just skim over. He said they're detail oriented, you know, they're better at tracking stuff and keeping schedules. They're better, and you know, and I dealt with some of them that were just exceptional, you know.
Awesome.
So, but yeah.
So I'm curious, going back to Maggie, what is your who would you say are the most common of women that you help? You said that they're the VAs and the copywriters and the coaches. What tactic do you take to coach them into your leadership and your business success?
So most of them are probably like from either they started or up to 3 years in their business when they're still growing, developing, using the organic marketing strategies when they're not ready yet to maybe invest in paid advertising. And I help them, like I call my coaching model Dream Plan Do. And there's 3 kind of areas where I feel that when you align them and when you really focus on the right things in them, you can grow your business faster. You know, there's no magic way to grow your business, no magic way to get rich or anything, or at least I don't believe it. But there's definitely a better or faster way when you're strategic about it. So what Dream is that mindset and self-leadership, meaning, being accountable to yourself and following through, that if you have a task or you plan something, that you actually do it. You're not going to say, well, I'm not feeling good, or I'm scared, or whatever, right? So working through the fears as well, especially in the beginning when women start, they're scared to put themselves out there, right? They have imposter syndrome, fear of selling, fear of rejection, all that comes up. So helping them with that. And then the plan portion is more of that business skill, meaning marketing and sales and a bit of finances, right? Like as a business owner, you need to understand a little bit, have a budget, some basic stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And then the doing part, of course, I can't do the work for them, but what I can help them with is that high performance and making sure that they maximize the time that they have in their business. Because again, as women, we juggle very often a lot of things, right? We have families. Some of us start businesses when we still have a full-time job, or we're having it on the side. So then making sure that, the little time that we have, we actually maximize it and not waste it. Because again, it's very often, if you don't have a plan, they just sit, oh, let me see, what am I going to do in my business? Well, I don't know. Okay, let me go on Facebook and look. They start scrolling, and then an hour goes like that. And now the child is up, and you need to get.
Never mind 1 hour. You're looking like sometimes you look up and go, oh my goodness, it's been 4 hours. And what have I done?
Exactly, right? Or being busy with the tasks that are not actually getting them closer to gaining clients and bringing the income that they want. So kind of those three areas.
And so pretty much you're their accountability coach as well.
As well, yes, that too.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have a specific set of things. Here's what you need to do. And then, okay, Mary, here's what you need to do. And, when can you have it done? Oh, I don't know, maybe in a couple of weeks. No. Oh. What day, what time, what hour, when?
That's right. And we break it down into manageable tasks, because it's very often also to overwhelm yourself, right? Especially in the beginning, you're starting the business, you're like, oh my God, I have to do this. And this person is telling me I have to do that. And then people get overwhelmed. So bringing it down to the core essential that you actually need to do to get the clients and consistently and grow. And then, again, breaking it down to simple step by step, and then accountability and a bit of that mindset. That's what I do. And that proves to be effective.
Yeah,
I think it's really important, because I have mentioned this before and it seems to be my thing, but the overwhelm can cause you to end up turning on the TV and Netflix binging. Because you're just like, I can't eat, I don't know where to start. You look at it, you've got a list, like my lists on mine here, but they're all dated or timed. So I don't get that, but you don't start anything if you're overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's true. You're paralyzed, and you start avoiding. Then the laundry is more important, and then this. That's exactly what happens.
Well, of course, I'm a big to-do list person. I've always been that way. But then I learned about time blocking, and that really on like a lengthy project is doing it in pieces. But I know exactly which day, what time I'm going to do it. And I believe it was Dennis Waitley. I'm not sure, but I read something he did. He says, for people to be successful, he said, your time is the most valuable thing you have.
Exactly.
And he says, every time when you're doing something, ask yourself, is what I'm doing getting me closer to my goal? If it's not, stop and do something that is.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. So because there's cost in your time, right? And it's not only the cost of what you pay yourself. So let's say if you want it to be $100 an hour, and you're scrolling through Facebook for an hour, you're just like, that's the most expensive scroll ever, because you just spend $100. But then there's also the cost of the loss of opportunity, right? What if during that hour you were actually networking and found a client and signed them for $2,000? Now you're, losing even more. So that's exactly what it is.
Well, now I was just going to say, interesting fact. A few years ago, when I was transitioning, I would have been, it's a few years ago, probably about 17. I lost my job. So I started a new job. And here's one thing that I realized. This internet online stuff is so much better because I did the math. I was helping people out. I was doing marketing and accounting. That's my background. And it took me 2 hours to drive to a place that I worked for 4 hours, got paid on contract, took 2 hours to get back because of traffic. I figured out with my time and my gas, it was actually costing me money. And people don't think about that. They say, well, no, I'm getting paid, you know, $300 for going in for 4 hours or $500 for going in for 4 hours. But you deduct your time of those 4 hours at whatever hourly rate you are, your gas, you have to really balance that out. This is so much better now because a lot of us don't have to travel. So that time is not put in there. But don't do it on Facebook, those 2 hours that you'd be otherwise in traffic.
Exactly.
Well, you know, people that work by the hour, you know, the mechanic that gets $25 an hour, you know, their mentality is by hours. Okay. And you say, well, they said, yeah, but if I would, instead of doing this, I could be over here making $25 an hour, you know, putting a battery in this car or whatever. But then they go, yeah, but if you got this skill, you could be over here making $100 an hour and not have to be out there under the hood of a car getting all nasty and greasy, you know. So I would, you know, I know that's a hard mindset shift for people that are used to being paid by the hour.
Yeah, it's true.
So I don't know.
That's what you were saying. Yeah, what Maggie was saying is trying to set that mindset of saying, I'm here on Facebook for 2 hours, that if my hourly rate is actually $150, that's $300 I just wasted.
Yeah. And maybe an opportunity to actually, you know, gain more on top of it.
Right.
Yeah. Well said.
So when someone comes to you for help, how much resistance do you get from people? Because, you know, well, I've been doing it this way, and you know, well, I'm not sure if I want to do that. You know, do you have that overcome with people, or very many people?
Yeah, you know what? Like I try to, because like for me, when I sign the client, it's also a fit. So I try to, during my discovery calls or the initial consult when we're talking, I try to see if that client is a good fit for me, right? Because when I'm asking them the question and kind of diagnosing what's happening in their business, what are their challenges, and if I can help them, because it doesn't happen always, right? But if I'm confident, I also try to see whether they are coachable, if you want to call it this way, right? Are they open to change? Because, you know, as Einstein said, the definition of insanity is try to do the same thing over and over and expect a different result, right? But if we're stuck in our ways and we're kind of, we have a problem, we want help, but then we don't want to do what it takes to change, then you know, it doesn't work, because then this way they're wasting their money. They're not investing their money in me. They're actually wasting their money. And it's just frustrating for both sides, right? So I do try to work with clients that are at the point when they're understanding that they need to change and that they need to have an open mind to try the things. And then through coaching, again, I have experience. I've worked with people for, as I said, 13 years, many people. I coached many people, many different personality. So that kind of comes very handy. But then through coaching in slow steps, I adapt my coaching to the person and their pace and sort of what they can do. It usually does work out. So far, so good. You never know. So far, so good.
That's very, very, that's a big point, because not everybody is coached the same way. And I know that they have coaching programs, and sometimes I find that if you're following that same coaching program, not everyone fits into one that's a box. So what you're saying is very good, that you actually listen to the people, you understand them, you're like, okay, this is what direction we need to do for you, rather than just put them in this little box and go, everybody's the same. So
I structure my program like I have either a group program or one-on-one if somebody wants it and needs it. But even my group program is structured in a way where when we meet, so I have like video trainings that yes, everybody can take and kind of learn certain basics through video. But then on the group call, we really do almost like a mini one-on-one, individualized, plus the other people can just learn from, questions and so on. Because you're right, if you have just an online training or very like depersonalized, then not everybody fit that box, right? So there's people who would take away a lot from that, and there's people who just spend the money and get nothing just because they don't know how to apply that, or it doesn't speak to them.
On your live calls, do you kind of do like a hot seat?
No, I don't know what you mean by that. Everybody gets a turn where we talk about what they're working on and questions.
It's like, so, okay, we're going to come together this week. And this week, LaurieAnn's been having some problems. So she's going to be our hot seat guest, and we're going to, really help her. We're going to use her, and we're going to go through her stuff, and she's going to ask me questions. I'm answering. You guys can come in with your input and stuff like that. So, I just wondered if maybe you did something like that. I mean, there's
kind of a scary way of saying a special guest, okay? A special, you're the limelight. He's saying hot seat because people are going to tell you whatever they want about you. Did you not do that, LaurieAnn? What are you thinking? Yeah. That's a hot seat.
It's kind of like, okay, you were supposed to do this, you didn't do it. Why didn't you do it? And so I know there's a lot of people that do group coaching that do that. And I mean, I think the intent is to really help the person, but you may go through that and at the end go, boy, that sucked. I don't ever want to do that.
Some people are not made for that.
No, I don't do that. That's not my style. No, everybody has their turn and we talk through things. And then if we need to connect, via email to kind of like discuss more if needed and so on, we will. But no, I don't like this.
Now, in all fairness, though, Maggie, it may not be a bad thing if the person chooses to say that you go, okay, would you like to be on the hot seat and hear from the rest of the group? Like you tell them what you've done, what you haven't done, because then you've got a group of kind of advisors, like they're there. I like that thought, but you want to make sure the person agrees to it.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't say, okay, let's pick on LaurieAnn today. Okay, LaurieAnn.
Okay, I'm ready.
Hop on a chair.
Hey, you know what? I've been on the hot seat with my mother for years, so I'm okay with that. I'm used to it. Love you, Mom. Well, this is great. So how I know we asked you at the beginning, we're going to have everything like up on this podcast in the notes of how they can reach you. And so I have your Stairway to Leadership.com. You've got the Facebook, same. And so people that are looking for direction and a way to get in and I would imagine even at the beginning onset, we always say it's worth the investment, because if you don't do that, you're going to spend a lot of money trying it on your own. Roy and I are both big advocates of that one. We've been there.
Plus the time you waste.
That time, the money,
the stress,
everything. Find somebody who will help you make it. It's still going to take time, but that timeline will be a lot shorter. So we really appreciate this. And
it's true. It's true. And you know what, like in my group, it's a free group and I do a lot of free training there. Of course, it's not custom to you and it's not what you might need this moment, but if you want to learn or even check out, like the group is a great start, because again, I put a lot of love in there and a lot of great content. I just ran last week, we just ran a challenge to kind of plan out the 2021. So kind of, look at 2020, what worked, what didn't, we did a bit of mindset work, and then plan out your 2020, what you can do to be prepared and then kind of change. So that's always available. So there's lots of free stuff there that
I like that. So 2020 will be the hindsight to learn for 2021, right? A lot of people are saying that. We've learned a lot from 2020, though. There's a lot of companies that have grown from it, taken advantage. So it's not been all bad. A lot of people have had a hard time, but there's a lot of people who have grab the opportunities.
Mhm, mhm.
So,
Definitely.
I have one more
Fantastic.
question. Have you written a book, or are you planning to write a book by any chance?
I haven't written a book. No, I actually have. So when I started my business, I started writing blogs, and I think it was a week ago when I've written 100th already.
Okay.
So maybe in that 100th blogs, if you put it together, it would be a good book.
There's a book in there somewhere.
There's a
well,
book
I'm
in there
gonna
somewhere.
put a little plug for you here for a company out there, Designer. If you go to them, it's spelled kind of interesting, DESIGNRR.
Okay.
You can actually take your blog and turn it into a PDF or an EPUB just with that program. So
Oh,
you don't
wow,
even
that's
have to
super cool.
redo anything. So Designer out there, I'm giving you a plug, but it really is great. It makes your book, it takes all, if you have pictures, graphics, it'll pull it all together and make a book out of your blog. So instead of redoing everything, just look into that. I believe that's DESIGNRR, Designer.
Yeah,
That's
thank you.
awesome.
And they have
That's
a
awesome.
lifetime, they do give you a lifetime, that's what I have, lifetime access. I mean, there are a little bit of upgrades, like for the EPUB, you have to upgrade a little bit, but it'll get you you can do the PDF, no problem.
Yeah, and there's also a group for that software.
Yeah.
Facebook
Yeah,
group.
so if you have questions and such. So anybody out there who does have a blog, and then I'm just going to put that out, just really seriously, don't reinvent your wheel by having to, copy paste everything. There are, programs out there that'll make life a lot easier. And a book is great because it makes you an authority on what you're doing. Just
That's
quickly, I'm
amazing.
going to put a plug in for us. We do have Makeup Not Required, how to brand it for you. Roy is a part of it. I am as well. And, it's a good thing to have. So we look forward to the next time we meet with you in 6 months that your book will be done, Maggie, and we're going to promote it.
All right. Maybe. I mean, it's definitely out there. It just hasn't come out yet.
We're looking forward to that. And we are serious about that. Just get a hold of us, in 3-6 months or whatever. And if you have updates, please, we have people coming back on our podcast. We always enjoy it. We
that's
love to
great.
hear the news. It's not just our monthly meetings that we have, but more so also is to get you back on, let people know where you're at.
That's great. But I will be definitely happy to join your monthly meetings.
Good.
Perfect.
Good.
Great.
Well, Maggie, thanks for coming on with us. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure too. Guys, great podcast. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great night, everybody.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.